Hey, welcome to episode 11 of
Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Those of you that are regular listeners know that's Joanna, and I'm John.
I'm Nicole.
And we're all here. And I guess let's just jump right into whatever 50th news we have. I read that, or whatever news we have in general. It doesn't have to be 50th. I read that the filming is wrapped. I think most people have read it by now.
It happened wrapped over the weekend, right?
Yeah, it wrapped, I think, end of last week or over the weekend. A lot of it was filmed behind closed doors, so we really still don't know what may happen and may not happen.
Which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that.
I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I am a little bit, especially after I read the news that you put down.
Yes, I was like, I found it randomly. I found it on a tweet. It was connected to a tweet. I'm like, I'm going to know more about this. Then I found out about John Hurt dropping a heavy hint and about the 50th anniversary special. And basically he says he plays part of the Doctor in kind of a trinity, and that includes David Tennant. Also, his costume during the filming, which appears to be a combination of the Ninth Doctor's leather jacket and the Eighth Doctor's cravats and shirt. So that could be kind of cool. Ingrid Oliver also has been photographed on location at the Tower of London wearing the Fourth Doctor's trailing scarf.
Who's Ingrid Oliver?
I don't know. I mean,
Nicole.
I'm just reading it.
I think I saw a picture.
The name sounds
but
familiar, and I can't place it.
I didn't. I saw a picture of a woman wearing the. She seemed to be playing a unit kind of.
Maybe it's from the burlesque show, and that's because maybe the Doctor gets turned into a woman, like in Don't Blink.
That's it. We saw a preview of the 50th.
Busty Warren was writing it the whole time, and we didn't know.
Wow.
It's a front. Well, that's Stephen Moffat.
That'd be hilarious. Well, that's
he tried out ideas.
That's interesting. I mean, it really is. And there's so much other stuff that we just don't know that may have happened.
Yes. FYI, Ingrid Oliver is a British actress and comedian. So that's what I know. Thank you, Google.
Also, in season finale or series, whatever, in finale news, allegedly, I've read that on multiple sources that the Doctor's name will not be spoken out loud to the audience, but the characters will learn it.
That is fine by me.
I don't want to know it.
No. We all know it's John Smith.
No, it's gotta be something better than that.
I know, but I just don't want to know.
Well, I still say River had to learn it at some point, so he must tell River, because she knew it.
He's the Doctor. He's a rock star. He doesn't need a name.
Nope.
No, I don't need to know it, but I figure eventually he had to tell River, because they seem to imply that she knew it, so.
That's true. Let's see. Also, I read that there was an interview with Neil Gaiman, I think in SFX Magazine, where he talks about how he loves writing for Doctor Who. He'd love to do it, but he wouldn't want to be the showrunner because it's just too much work for him with all the other stuff he does. I saw the clips of the episode. It looks great, except for the two little dirtbag kids that are in it that we'll talk about when we get to the episode. Mm-hmm. But, it looks like it's going to be good. I mean, I'm
excited.
I've kind of not been watching anything about it, because I didn't want to...
I was bored.
I kind of wanted to be surprised on that one.
Well, I saw it at the end of Crimson Horror.
Yeah, I saw that part. I saw that much.
Well,
the rest
that's all
of it,
you really need to...
I've seen stuff online, and I'm like, no, I don't want to watch the clip yet.
It's all mostly the same thing you saw. I mean, it seems like a great idea. I just... those kids. So, I guess, really, I don't think I have any other news. Nicole, do you like to talk about the DePaul University Doctor Who celebration?
I learned that DePaul now has a class. This guy that organized it taught a class on Doctor Who.
You should go back and take it.
I'm like, they did not have that class when I went there.
That's awesome.
There was no Doctor Who class then. But yeah, it was really funny to listen to Robert Shearman there talking about his episode, and he was like, I mean, he was totally like, he did a live commentary over it, and
oh, that's cool. Which episode was his?
Dalek.
Oh, one of the ones we talked about last week.
But he would like criticize things, and he's like, well, we never really got that, and that didn't work out. And I'm like, it was one of the best episodes of the season. But he was very like, and supposedly he was working on an episode for the 5th season.
You know,
and it fell apart. Yeah, I got the impression it was fairly early on in the process that it didn't. But he didn't like writing for TV.
Really?
Which is probably why he's only done the one episode.
Well, think about the time. You only have you have 45 minutes to work with.
Well, he likes the Big Finish audios more. He said he likes radio.
You have more freedom.
He liked stage play. You know, but he didn't. It wasn't his favorite thing to do because he was like, his thing was that in television, since it's condensed, you have to tell people stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not like natural conversation. He was like, people have to say exactly what they're feeling, and no one does that.
Like Doctor Who?
But they have to say, like, I am upset at you because of this. Mm. And he was like, because you don't have time to, like, develop things. And
yeah. Well, especially, like, I think that goes along with what you and I have always said is the run times are so much shorter now that you really don't have that time. Mm-hmm. Like when you had 4 episodes when you had one story that was 4 episodes of 25 minutes each, you could do that. You know, now you really can't.
But if he was right, and I thought that was really interesting, I was like, wow, he was really planning ahead. When they weren't sure if they could get the rights to the Daleks, and he was writing the story, that I guess, like, Russell T. Davies said to him, like, okay, you know, if we don't get this, then it's going to be a Tocleophane. Those little future kind things from season 3.
You mean the Time Lords?
No, it was the
human race in the future. Yeah.
He would have made one of those.
That would have been horrible.
And I'm like, that would have been very strange.
It shows that Russell Davies was thinking ahead.
Because he said to him, this is really like a season 3 idea. And
wow.
So he
really, I mean, you wouldn't have just been like, do you make it a Cyberman?
He
a
said,
Zygon? I mean, something? I mean, just some random other creature?
He said supposedly that was... But he said some things that I was kind of going like, I'm not sure if that's actually the... Because according to him, it was like Russell T. Davies didn't have the whole Bad Wolf thing in place originally. According to him, it was like a last-minute addition. Like Russell T. Davies said, well, people think this Bad Wolf on the TARDIS in Aliens of London means something, so... Let's everyone put it in their episode.
How did it end up in Aliens of London in the first place then?
I was like, I'm not sure.
See, it's always like a sleight of hand with the writers and stuff and the producers because it's not sleight of hand, but it's like Davis claims that he had all 3 years laid out. I think he may have had some idea where he wanted to go, but I mean, he also claims that he had always intended on Eccleston changing the Tennant at the end of the first season, but then there's people saying, well, no, Eccleston wanted to leave, you know, so who do you believe? It's like, him leaving had to be decided before they finished writing all the episodes. Mm-hmm. Because they had to tie them all together and then lead up to that point. You know, so there had to be some point when they knew. But, you know, you're never going to know the straight story on it.
Well, then you hear David Tennant's story that, like, he was harassing Russell T. Davies to, like, give him a part in Doctor Who. And then suddenly he invites him over and is like, how do you feel about playing the Doctor?
Yeah, I can believe that, though.
When, like, none of Eccleston's episodes had aired yet. And
well, that's what I mean. I mean, that he had to know that he wasn't going to stay. Either he knew he wasn't going to stay or he said, okay, we're going to do this and then we're going to do it, you know, I think in a way he may have known that he was going to switch the Doctor at the end just to give the audience the full taste of everything.
If Robert Shearman is right, though, it was amazing that I was like, I could see why Eccleston didn't last. If he said he approached, like, every episode, like, he had to find the meaning in it. So, like,
yeah, he's one of those he's a very intense actor, supposedly.
His episode, like, with Dalek, he thought of it as, like, a Holocaust survivor confronting a Nazi.
Which was which?
And that was how I think he was supposed to be the Holocaust survivor confronting the Nazi Dalek.
See, it could go either way, because really, didn't he wasn't he the one that genocided the Daleks?
Yeah.
So
I thought of that, but then he had, like, what was really funny is I went, really? He found that? Like, he was talking about, I believe it was Aliens of London, World War III. Christopher Eccleston saw that as, like talking about the Iraq War. And I was like, I could see where maybe he would have trouble on Doctor Who, because he's not going to go like, oh, I'm in a scene with some farting aliens, and
I can't see him being as much fun on set as Smith and Tennant.
No.
Or McGann, or McCoy, or either of the Bakers, or David. Like when I met Peter Davison, I have the anniversary magazine from like 10 years ago I picked up, and it's got him in it. He does the afterward. And he says how he thought he was too young, but he couldn't turn it down because it was such a good role. And, he didn't want to be typecast, and that's why he only stayed 3 years. And he goes, and it's sad because my third year is when I finally figured out how I wanted to play it. Mm-hmm. But he enjoyed it. Like, Eccleston, like... I get chastised by UK fans all the time because I say he thinks he's a better actor than he really is. And they're like, well, that's because you're American. No. I watch plenty of British TV and plenty of British movies. I've seen him in other stuff, and he's good. He's not Sean Connery. He's not Robert Redford. He's not, he's good. He's not Sidney Poitier or something, But he's a much more serious actor. You never see him doing a comedy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The thing is...
But oddly enough, he was in G.I. Joe playing Destro. But I mean, he's such a more, like, you could tell he's more into his craft where he's gonna, like, what you said, be very serious about it. And that's not, I don't think that's, like you said, a fit for the role, necessarily. For, like, the production team to deal with, rather.
I have a question. Like, a lot of actors do comedy. They do roles that they don't necessarily like. But a lot of them become beloved in their characters.
Well, I don't
know Mr. Brady...
Yeah, but you know what?
Think about it. He was a classically trained actor. Mr. Brady is a classically trained actor, and you.
Sure, but I mean, look at like Leslie Nielsen. He was a serious actor for like 30 years before he went to comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, some actors can make that transition. Some actors can switch what they do, and be fine.
Yes.
I think Doctor Who was. I don't know if Eccleston was trying to do something different. If Eccleston was trying to get back on track, I don't know. But it was definitely not something Eccleston. I mean. It was definitely out of what he normally does. Although he was in another sci-fi flick at one point. I can't think of it before that. I can't think of the name of it. Where he's talking about humanity and he calls them you lot. And they used the clips in an Orbital song. But I wish I could remember the name of it. But he definitely, if you look at his overall roles, even in like Gone in 60 Seconds, he's not like... I could see him being like, how like you said, you have big name actors that are all like, okay, I gotta get in the character, I gotta be the character, I gotta feel, and then they end up divorcing their wives, marrying their co-star because they're both so into the character and they don't realize that it's not really them. I could see him being that intense about it, which I admire to a point, but I can understand why it would not work on, like you said, you need to be motivated. Oh, I think of this as, of the Iraq War. You have farting aliens, dude, in rubber suits. It's not a fit for it.
Like
because Hartnell was a serious actor.
Yeah.
And Troughton, I don't really know much about what I know he did a lot of stage work. I know all the early ones did a lot of stage work.
Yeah.
And
or radio.
Or radio. Yeah, a lot of radio, a lot of stage work. So, like I said, I liked Eccleston's Doctor. I don't know if I could have liked it for 3 years.
Well, in some ways, it could have been probably good that he took it so seriously, because that meant he played everything like absolutely straight and
well, and
like
it shows in some episodes. It shows in those good episodes.
But that was for me a little bit. I'm like, really, you've got like farting aliens.
But it shows.
It's hard to turn that into a deep, profound.
But it worked in episodes like Dalek. It worked in episodes like The Empty Child and Dr. Dances. It worked in the episodes that were more dramatic. Like, it's funny because really Aliens in London probably should have been a dramatic episode, but the aliens are so horrible.
Yeah.
It was what I hated about that, and I'm surprised the show stayed on the air after those episodes, because, like, you see them running around in these big rubber suits that obviously look faker than hell. I mean, worse than the stuff they had in the 80s and 70s, half of it. But then all of a sudden, remember they showed, like, the CGI claymation one that looked kind of cool, but you knew wasn't the same thing? But
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't.
I enjoyed
felt
that
like
episode.
I should say
but
that I wasn't knocking Eccleston. I
I
liked
agree.
his doctor, but I felt like
I
I
think
could
he takes
see why he wouldn't last if that's
Yeah.
what he needed in every episode. Because
Can you imagine him in Curse of the Black Spot?
Oh no.
Or
You need someone fun.
Or yeah, well, you need someone that's. What would his motivation be? Okay, I feel like this is a Titanic sinking.
he somehow found that amazed me that in the Aliens of London, World War III, he somehow found that it was about. I believe, I could be wrong.
No, I understand.
But I think it was. I think that was the one he found was really
True
about
Lovin'?
the Iraq
No,
War. And I was like,
and you know the writer wrote it going, what?
well, Robert Shearman, I thought, had the impression like he thought it was a little like, I don't know
Off.
if when he wrote his episode he was thinking this is like a
Iraq War.
Holocaust survivor
Oh,
and a
yeah.
Nazi. This is what I'm going for. I mean, he acted like he wrote it kind of like, okay, I wrote the story, now I'm trying to adapt it to the TV. But I think he kind of played down, too, though, because he never...
Yeah, but a good writer is somebody that's humble and talks to their audience. I hate writers that think that they are the best thing in the world and, don't talk to their fans and talk down to people. I mean, then you're overcompensating for something. I have a love-hate relationship with Eccleston. I love how he played the Doctor. I just don't like his attitude about a lot of things. Like, if you think you're that goddamn good... Because people that tell me he's hugely popular in the UK, really, look up his stuff. He's done a lot, but he's not like... What's the guy's name that was in 300 and he was in the movie with Jennifer Aniston where he was a bounty hunter and she was his ex-wife?
Is that Gerard Butler?
Gerard Butler. Yeah, he's not Gerard Butler. He's not Clive Owen. He's
Is that Benedict Cumberbatch? I mean...
I don't know what his real... I mean, he was in I saw him... Actually, he was very good in it, too. I saw him in an episode of Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot from about 95. And sadly, he played a douchebag army person that was, accused of killing somebody or something. And Poirot, obviously knew he didn't do it, but he is an excellent actor, but you could tell that he must be that kind of actor that he's got to get into that role. In science fiction, most of it is not going to work for you that way, Mm-hmm. But,
well, I do have to admit, that was perhaps one of the reasons why I went back to the beginning, because he was the only person playing the Doctor between him, Tennant, and Smith that I knew who he was before he started playing.
True. I didn't know who David Tennant
No.
was, and then I realized he was in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I mean...
I didn't
but
realize
he didn't really
that
have
at
a
the time,
big role
but-
in Harry Potter.
No.
He was, and I kind of remembered him because I remember what was the show he was on? Oh, it was Casanova. I think he was on.
Yeah.
And I remember that being on BBC, and so I kind of vaguely knew who he was, but I never watched it. And so, but yeah, I agree. I think I have a love-hate relationship because okay, you hate the production team, you were at odds with them. I get all that. Don't be a dick to the fans. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
No.
It's like, we didn't do it. We appreciate what you did. Don't... Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand not wanting to come back. I can get all that. But, when you're interviewed about the show that all these people love, and they loved you as a character, and then you badmouth the whole thing, it's like... It's petty and childish, and you're an adult, and you're,
I mean, you don't...
And then you go and play Destro in G.I. Joe. I mean, really?
You don't burn your bridges. I mean, there could have been better roles for him after Doctor Who. I mean, or production companies, hey, he badmouths his show. Why don't think he good enough for our show because I don't trust him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, And
Just
since no one knows...
because it's going to come to haunt you or bite you in the butt.
Yeah, but you know what? On the plus side, he really didn't. They wanted him back anyway. I mean, and he's mellowed on it since, but he obviously didn't want to be in it. You know?
Well, yeah, I think that's what's the most annoying thing about Eccleston is you start going why does he have to be so negative about and it's a totally different production team now. It's
Everyone's different.
Yeah, it's not. I could see where if it's
he's
the
like
same
that
people,
electrician is the same. I don't want to be there.
If it's the same people that you had problems with, then
Yeah,
I
if
get
it was RTD, still,
Yeah,
I can
you're
understand, sure.
Still upset, but I'm like, it has changed, maybe.
But you know what? He sat down with Moffat and he talked it out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so he gave, assumingly he wasn't doing it just to do it,
Well,
But
he did mellow, because I think
he mentioned how there was
ago,
things that he wanted to do it as Doctor
yeah,
he couldn't
a couple
do.
years ago, he probably would have just been like, no, not even considering it, not gonna.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with it anymore, but.
Which is funny. He wanted nothing to do with it, and they tried getting him. You have all these people that wanted. I'd love to do it. Free management. I'd love to do it. Oh, sorry. Bye-bye.
Or you have Sylvester McCoy, or the Doctor, Paul McGann.
And I think like McCoy and a lot of those guys could have just been used as a different character, as a quick cameo. I think that would have been fine. And that's what even he said. So, who knows? Yeah, I think McGann really should have been in it, though. McGann looks pretty good still. He could pass.
Yeah. Well, I still think McCoy
could pull it off. And after seeing Davison in person, he's definitely older, but you gotta remember Davison's younger than McCoy is. Mm-hmm. A little bit of makeup. He could probably pass too. I think the biggest part with Davison is he's got a lot less hair. Did I mention I met him and he was delightful?
Yes, I think you have.
I have so many pictures of him when I was in line for another autograph. I'm like, wow, he was being so nice and delightful to everyone.
He was. He was great. But what else? What else did they talk about there at the DePaul thing?
Well, there were
now that we've overanalyzed Christopher Eccleston and gave our actors theories when none of us act.
I've taken drama classes.
And to be fair, Joanna has friends in the theater, so we have some cred.
Yes.
I took a drama class at DePaul, so.
Oh, there you go.
The first part of the day was all like different panels that. The idea was supposed to be to promote like more scholarly papers on Doctor Who to bring it into academia. So some of them weren't as scholarly. Like there was.
I don't know how that would work.
Well, they do it though, because I was sitting there like there was a panel on Doctor Who and philosophy, and like one of the guys was. I should know his name, but he was a professor at DePaul, and his specialty was like ethics, and he had this whole thing about like the ethics of the Doctor, and like how you'd look at it, and I was like, yeah, you could take that, and
sure.
That one was definitely probably the most scholarly of the panels that I saw, because it was very, there was one that I was listening, and she probably had some very good points, but she was reading from a paper. She was like the moderator. And she started out with this really kind of...
The moderator who turns out we know.
No, this was a different one.
Oh, different moderator. Okay.
This was for
the moderator, which turns out we knew.
This was the philosophy one. And she was like, she read from this paper, whereas everyone else just kind of talked. And she had like this really, really like deep quote from I think it was Heidegger at the beginning. So it's this like profound philosophy thing about space and time. And she like read it, and afterwards I'm like, I need to have that quote in front of me. It was like
I don't even know who that is.
I had a philosophy class at DePaul too, so I've read that. But it was like they were like that she read it. She just throws it out. She reads it once, and then her whole paper is referring to this quote, and I'm listening to it going, I've forgotten the quote. I couldn't process the quote yet. I'm sure it was very good. But it just at that point, she just threw it out there, and I'm like, maybe if I had a copy in front of me.
Was she a student or a professor?
No, she was a professor from somewhere else.
All right, my question: who was the moderator that you knew?
Well, it was actually she was actually on my other podcast, and I've never met her, because when I was at Chicago TARDIS, she came in from Madison, and her now husband came in from Edmonton, and all the other podcasters were there, and they basically just stayed up partying, drinking, and playing games all night. So she slept almost all day Saturday and didn't get out of the hotel room till we were leaving. It's a woman named Erica who does the Verity podcast.
Okay.
And Nicole and her, whenever I did a Doctor Who episode of the other podcast, which I think there were two. You think there was one, but I'm pretty sure there were two.
One.
I know one for a fact, but they were both on it, and she's the one that when I was talking to her and I asked if she wanted to guest on our other one again before we had this one, she had said that, that she had just started Verity and she was kind of busy, so she didn't have the time to do it. And she said that I should do a Doctor Who one because Nicole's voice and opinion on Doctor Who is very, what did she say?
Intelligent?
Yeah, very, and there's not a lot of women out there talking about it. And that's when I got the idea that I needed another female co-host, and that's when I found you. And so basically the whole idea came from her in a sense. I mean, in a sense. And now let Nicole pick up the story because I wasn't there, so.
Yeah, well, I as I said, I went up to her and I told you earlier, I didn't know if she'd remember because I was like, she's on a lot of podcasts.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. I'm like, I don't even know if she's going to remember, but I went up to her and I started with the mysterious line like I was trying to create a mystery here. We've spoken, but we've never met. And I could see her looking like, what does she mean? And then I was like, yeah, we were both on John's podcast. And then she was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, okay, good. She does remember me. I'm not just... Because there were a lot of people there, though, that were fans of Verity. Yeah. That were going up to her like, oh, I really enjoy your podcast. And that. So I was like, she's got a lot of people going up to her. I'm just one of the random people. But she did remember me, so I was...
Well, that's good.
I was like, okay.
And she remembered me, too, which is nice.
Yes,
I haven't really talked to her much. I've just been so busy with our podcast and the other two, and then I haven't even written anything on the website in, weeks, and because of, real life things like work. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so she was moderating some of them.
Yeah, she moderated, I think, one panel, and then I think she was on another panel, but I didn't see it because they didn't have any kind of break for lunch, and I was starving. So I made it through the morning, and then I was like, I need food.
So it was a whole day event.
Yeah.
And there were multiple panels and everything, huh?
It was... Well, there was... I mean, in the main room, there was, maybe 5 panels, I think, where, talking about different... Each one had a different topic, like gender, philosophy, fandom. But then, while that was going on, but I didn't see any of those, they were also screening some episodes in another room. And then eventually it all just shifted to the other room.
It was like a DePaul only con.
A very tiny one.
Yeah, well, DePaul only, yeah.
Yeah, they had
alumni only. So that's cool.
But yeah, it was really funny because then they shifted to the room where they'd been screening, and then all of Robert Shearman's stuff was there.
I wonder how she ended up doing moderation there. Who knows?
Well, there were other people from the podcast invited there too, from her podcast.
So the DePaul thing was interesting then.
Yes, it was.
I'm waiting for Joanna just to break out laughing because of how I just did that.
Yes, it was interesting.
So how long did you stay for the whole thing? I mean, obviously you went for lunch, but I mean...
Yeah.
You stayed for the whole thing otherwise?
Yeah, I was there pretty much from 9 till... When did it end? 6? 5 something, yeah. They had... Well, at the end there was people could, get books signed, and Robert Shearman was signing and all that, and he did a reading that I missed because I was talking to Phil.
Oh, Phil was there?
Yeah.
So Phil was there.
Yep.
I haven't talked to Phil in a week and a half. I just messaged him asking how his apartment was because his place was closed down for flooding.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he spent Friday night that week at in Palatine. Yeah, and then I think he spent the rest of the time at his mom's house or his parents' house rather, and then went back on Tuesday. I think they said he could go back on Tuesday or something. Small world, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting now when we go places. It's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, it's C2E2. It's like, oh, hey, how you been? It's so much nicer.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because we ran into Carol when we were there, and I didn't know she was working there.
She was. I mean, I forgot to tell you.
We walked right past her, and I'm like, wait a minute, stop. Joanna's like, yeah, wait, stop. We're like, wait, we know her. We know you. So...
It's a small world.
But back to what we're talking about. So you spent the whole day there. Then that's good, cool. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they did something like that. It's neat to see that it's achieved the status of every other sci-fi. I mean, it should in worldwide in general. I think it was always up there with like your Star Wars and Star Trek and whatever else. But in America, it had a big following, but it never was, like it is now. Like, and I still have people that are like in their 40s going, well, it's not more popular than when Tom Baker was on it. I'm like, yeah, it is. I hate saying it, but it first off, Sylvester McCoy and David Tennant both got voted most popular doctor and bumped Tom Baker off the list a couple times. But yeah, I think it's definitely more popular now because everyone has cable TV now. Mm-hmm. Back then you had to watch it on PBS, and no one really cared.
If you had cable, you had to buy the channel or buy the package with the channel.
Oh, back before that though. Back in the old, you gotta remember before 1990, you didn't have cable the way it is now. You had one price for cable, and you got charged extra for movie channels. Your basic price gave you all the channels. I think. I don't think there was you had 200 channels or two. And back then there was 50 channels.
Yeah.
And back then MTV played music. So,
back in the old days.
Back when I was your age, Shuddy. But so back then, the only way to watch Doctor Who was on public broadcasting, was on PBS, because back then PBS ran British shows. It's definitely more popular, probably because it's easier for it to get its reach now. You can watch it on Netflix, you can watch it on Amazon. In fact, that's how I've been watching Series 7B. I bought it on Amazon Prime for $13 for the whole second half of the season in HD, which isn't bad. I think both series together cost me $26, but they wouldn't include the Christmas special. I got to pay separate if I want that one. It's like, But speaking of Series 7B, so Crimson Horror.
Yes.
Let's start with Nicole.
I really liked it.
Okay.
I mean, it is not at all an episode that you take really seriously, and it just was kind of fun, which was kind of nice from all the more serious, dramatic episodes we've had. I kind of liked that it was a little more comedic and more of a romp. I didn't mind that. I mean, there are plot holes galore.
I thought it was trying to be a serious episode and just didn't work.
See, I thought he was going for that, campy, the whole Penny Dreadful Victorian trashy novel kind of thing.
Well, I can understand that, but then, at that point, if you're going to go campy, go all out. Have a monster made of candy or something. You know what I mean?
Back to the Happiness Patrol?
Well, yeah, something to that effect. Well, go ahead. See, I'm trying not to interrupt. I'm trying to,
I know.
I'm trying to be better. I want people to like me.
Oh.
Yeah, I liked it. I just thought it was fun. But I like the whole Vastra, Jenny.
Agreed.
I like Strax. I just wish I liked the whole exchange with when he was talking to the horse and he's going to kill the horse. But so much of
Third
Strax
one this
now,
week.
Yeah. Fourth, I think.
Doesn't he seem didn't they make him more a bumbling idiot?
Yeah. But I just wish that a little more of his humor wasn't just, I want a weapon. Let's arm them. I was I like it when they let him be a little more...
You like it when they let him be more human, but he's not.
Yes.
That's how the Santarans are. They're a warrior race.
There's only so many jokes you can make about him going, let's use a grenade,
yeah, but he's not in the show that often. To where it doesn't... I guess, to me, it doesn't get to be too much because he's not in, every episode. If he was in every episode doing that, yeah, after, the third one, I'd be like, okay, dude, seriously, that's enough. He didn't let you do it the last 3 times. So what were moments that you liked?
I loved the bizarre little flashback of the doctors when they made it look old-timey and kinetoscopy, and they just fly through the events okay, this is what happened, and they just show you the key events.
It's a cheap way of doing a 2-part episode.
But I love that they made it look all kinetoscopy from the time, and I thought that was kind of fun.
I'd agree. It was neat. It was a neat effect to do.
And I liked that Jenny finally got more of a role, because she's always like the background person, because Madame Vastra's just
the dominant,
awesome
dominant
one, and she's
the
like
dominant, awesome female in the relationship. Yeah.
And then this time she got to go out and
kick a little ass.
In that tribute to Diana Rigg, I figured, where she in the little leather cat suit and
wait, who's Diana
fighting.
Rigg?
She was the Mrs. Gillyflower, and she was on the Avengers.
Oh, that's right. That's where I know her from. She was in the old Avengers show.
I thought that was meant to be a little tribute to her. That Jenny's all of a sudden in her little leather cat suit. And
when Jenny took off what she was wearing and had that suit underneath, and then proceeded to kick the hell out of a couple people, right then I was like, she should be a companion on the TARDIS.
I think everyone agrees with me, and that's fine. It's like I was texting my friend, and he's like, "Yeah, I agree with you." I'm like, Jenny needs to be a companion, and then let me get the document, and I'm like, yes, John says that too. About Jenny needing to be a companion, because she would be fantastic.
I think she would have been great. But can you have her and Vastra on the TARDIS traveling together?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I don't think
so you would never be able to see Jenny as a companion because of that.
Yes.
I do think a show with just her and Vastra and Strax would actually work out. I honestly think that would, because I think that would be a show that would be more along the lines of like Sarah Jane's Adventures, maybe. So like the younger audience would really embrace it, you know.
But yeah, I liked that one, and I was like, oh, it's a little bit of kind of like an Avengers reference that was, but I don't know. I just kind of like the whole campy, over the top, melodramatic thing he was going for. I thought it worked just for... It's not that it's not going to be like my favorite episode, or I wouldn't say it was the greatest episode of all time, but it just, for me, I just enjoyed it. I mean, there were plot holes in that one too. Nothing's explained. I've
come to almost accept that on a lot of episodes because they just don't have the time.
I
don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's bad writing. I just think they just don't have the time. You know, and they're not going to have the time. It's the way it is.
I'm over it. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to enjoy it.
Well, let me correct that. I wouldn't agree with Joanna. I wouldn't say I'm over it completely. If it's something that's blatantly obvious that you could have fixed, it shouldn't be there.
Sure.
Well,
okay, there's plot holes that occur in some of these where I'm like, really? Even I could have wrote better than that.
I was way more willing to accept plot holes in this one because I felt like you weren't supposed to take it that seriously.
Well, I mean, ultimately, this episode has an alien, a lizard lady, and her wife,
girlfriend
or wife, I believe.
Yeah,
living in Victorian England. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you need to suspend disbelief, obviously. And I could do that for this episode. And I was prepared to do that. And I didn't really notice a whole lot of plot holes myself. I'll let you finish. I mean...
No, I said, for me, like, the plot, it was a bit absurd that suddenly she had this massive rocket that she's shooting off. I'm like, that's a little early. I know she was billed as a chemist and
I really thought she was just going to release it through the chimney. Not, like, have a rocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rocket was, and I mean, you never learn anything about her. Like
the minute they showed a rocket, I'm like, isn't this like 100 years too early?
It's a little too early, but then you never know if she's crazy.
You learned she was crazy,
but you don't know if she was crazy like before Mr. Sweet latched on. Did his venom?
I think she was
influence her, or was she just crazy and found him?
I think she was just crazy.
Fell in love with this little red leech.
I think she was just crazy. I mean, and it shows when he was no longer with her, and she asked the daughter for forgiveness, and the daughter said no, and she said, "That's my girl," or something like to that effect. I mean, I think she was just crazy anyway.
I thought they could have explained her background a little. It was just all of a sudden she was the crazy old... But I, again, was willing to go like, okay, I'm just going to go with it, because for the episode, she's, like, very affectionate for this little red leech.
I will say I did not see that coming.
No.
I thought Mr. Sweet was going to be the Great Intelligence.
Yeah.
Or it would have been neat to have had it be the Master or something. So, in a way, the leech was almost a disappointment to me.
I was kind of cursed out by the leech.
I thought it was almost done too cutesy looking.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like a cute little stuffed animal. I'm like, oh, the little guy's so cute.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of cute.
It was kind of creepy and, like, weird and cute at the same time.
Yeah, but it didn't make me hate it.
He's a little bit like a tiny Slovene.
In fact, it didn't make me hate the leech because it wasn't the leech's doing. It was her. Mm-hmm. Like, she realized that the venom was poisonous, so she decided she was going to do all these other things. Not based on... I don't think the leech really controlled her.
They never really...
It would be giving a leech from prehistoric times way too much credit. Let's just put it that way. So I don't think the leech really was controlling her. I think she wanted to change the world, and all of a sudden she was presented with this opportunity. You know? And she, being evil, she took it.
Well, I love that. That was the line I loved, and I don't know why, when the doctor's going like, oh, you know what this could do in the wrong hands. And she goes, you know what these are?
The wrong hands.
I was like...
There were a lot of good one-liners in this episode, and I'll get to that when I give my little spiel about it. I will say that.
Although, I said the one joke I could have done without probably was the bizarre GPS joke. It was totally out of... I was like...
I almost liked it. I liked it to an extent, but then they're like, oh, what's your name? Thomas. I'm like, really? Like, I get the joke of go left, bear right. I get that, and that was kind of funny. But Thomas?
It was that one.
That made it a little too much. I thought it was clever, but it was definitely a little too much.
But I know it was, and probably there's people who probably were complaining because they don't like the humor, but I liked Strax.
From what I've read and heard, it seemed like it was well received.
I liked Strax arguing with the horse. The one thing that I will say I really, really didn't like in the episode, but I almost consider that like separate from the episode, was that stupid ending.
Horrible. And I will get to that. I will rant about that when I get to mine, because that made me almost want to not watch the rest of the season.
I was really, and then I'm like, really?
It was going along so good without having any family, any other crap, and then all of a sudden, but when I get to my section,
but it's absurd, even from like a logical standpoint, like
their father's going to believe that she's a time traveler.
But also, who took those pictures?
Who took the picture of her on the submarine?
Yeah. Did, Skaldak go, oh, wait, let me snap a snapshot here for a moment before I blow up the world?
The only part of it that was interesting was they showed her, the other her.
Which I think was the whole point of that.
The fact that she got blackmailed by two kids who said, we'll tell our dad you're a time traveler. Are you effing kidding me? See, I almost said it. That pissed me off enough that I almost swore. Well, are you effing kidding me? Because as a parent, wouldn't you just be like, nice Photoshop work? In fact, to be honest, those pictures looked like poor Photoshop work to me.
And how did they even find them?
Well, the one kid said he saw one in school, in a history book. But it was the submarine one. How was it in the history book?
Yeah, what was that? Nobody would know that was important. It wouldn't be referenced as an important event.
4 billion people on the planet. I'm pretty sure there's two people that kind of look like John and Louise Jameson. But that was the worst part of that whole episode, and And it's almost like I bet they did it just to tie in the amusement park and the Cybermen one.
Well, also,
because why would you be going to an amusement park if you didn't have little kids with you?
But I think they wanted to also show Clara saw the picture of her, and I love that they're like, this is a picture of you from Victorian London, and she's like, I was in Victorian Yorkshire. I'm like, well, they could have gotten it wrong.
Yeah. How do you know it's from Victorian London? It didn't show a background of anything. It was just you in a picture.
But those pictures got me because I was like, no one could have taken them.
But now you're traveling down that path that he's going to just willy-nilly take her and two kids with no parental on an adventure. Really? Now we're back to this kind of crap? Oh my God, it pissed me off so much. I almost don't want to watch the Cyberman episode now because of it. Let's just shoehorn this in.
Yeah,
it pissed me off. Because now you know they're going to be in the finale somehow for some reason.
Although it seems
and that one girl was so smug.
Yeah.
The way she was talking, I wanted to reach through the screen and beat the living crap out of her.
But they could have done it in some other way than the ridiculous pictures.
They could have maybe videotaped the TARDIS disappearing.
Yeah. They could have gone, hey, you got into a blue box and it disappeared. But no, we had to find photos that
because everything's on the internet nowadays, so of course it's got to be the internet.
But what did they search for?
Why?
What were they searching for that they found these pictures?
Why would you even have the inkling to search for any of that? Yeah.
It's like they... And it just... But what really got me is I'm looking at that picture on the submarine going, really? Somebody, went, hey, the world might end. Let's take a snapshot.
And to me, to me, looking at those pictures, knowing that those episodes existed, it looked like somebody photoshopped those photos.
Yeah, well, and then Hyde, it's all 4 of them in the picture. So I'm like, did Hilla go, hey, let me take a group shot before they go? Or
and why would that picture be anywhere
monsters?
Why would that picture be anywhere in a history book, anywhere on the internet? Why would that picture even be anywhere in the open? And how would they know how to find it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to just search for Clara? Because they didn't say Clara's last name anywhere in the episode. Do you notice how in this episode she was Clara, and then Clara, and then Clara, and then Clara? Apparently Matt Smith is like Tom Baker now, just kind of phoning it in. Also, he mispronounced where the crystal was from.
Yeah.
Found that out listening to another podcast. It didn't even dawn on me. I knew something wasn't quite right.
Yeah, it's Metabelius, and he said Metabolus.
Metabolus. Well, maybe after the galactic reset. All right. Well, so you liked it. Those are your thoughts on it. Me, Strax, I think, is always great. Yes. I was all on for his. Let's just full frontal assault the place. Let's do just one time. Just one time. I'd like to see it.
I think we would have not have had the episode.
I love when Jenny infiltrates and she hears the factory sounds and she opens the doors and it's all the big phonographs.
Yeah,
that was very clever.
Yeah.
That was well done. I'm not a fan of episodes that were Dr. Light, and this seemed like it was going to be one of those, and I was like, oh, really? And then they find him, of course. Obviously, Jenny, infiltrating it was better for the drama aspect of it. Was she going to get caught? Was she going to get found? Then Strax just running in, blowing the crap out of it.
Yeah.
No one caught the reference to Tegan?
Yeah.
What was the reference?
The Australian flight attendant that he was supposed to drop off at Heathrow.
And then he said, Dear Heart, Clara.
Yeah.
Like he always said, Dear Heart, Tegan.
Yeah, that was Tegan. So that was cool. I was like, I get it. Again, the GPS gag to me was kind of funny. I could have did without his name being Thomas Thomas. Overall, I thought it was cute. It was cutesy. The fight scene, like we said, was great. I mean, I think she could have took them all out on her own, and she looked hot doing it. And that, but she looked great, and she was very good. That actress's time to shine was in this episode, and she did it. She did a brilliant job. Did anybody else catch how when Strax came running in, firing at him, and chasing him, didn't it kind of remind you of Han Solo running after the Stormtroopers in Star Wars? He was outnumbered, and he just came running in shooting. I thought that immediately. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, just like Han Solo. The one-liners I thought were great. I love when they were trying to stop the rocket, and he goes, I have a sonic screwdriver, and Clara goes, I have a chair, and just breaks the thing. I'm like, he goes, chairs work. Chairs are good.
But he used a chair
earlier.
Earlier in the episode, he used the chair, didn't he, to break out Clara from the bell jar thing she was under?
But yeah, I just love her going, I have a chair. Yeah. I'm like, see, I like, a lot of people, there's people that don't like Clara. I like Clara. I like her as a companion. Because she's like an average person, and she does what an average person would do. If you needed to destroy something, how would you do it? I would hit it with something. So, maybe it's just me. I love the one-liner when the old lady falls to her doom or death or whatever, and Matt Smith goes, ooh, ouch. It's so out of character for a Doctor Who episode recently. I thought that was great. I really thought the Leech was going to be I really thought Mr. Sweet was going to be the Great Intelligence. I don't understand why you brought him in the first episode the way you did, and he's not in anything else. And it would have been a perfect time period because he existed then.
Yeah.
It would have been right near the time they last met. I do think that they made the Leech too cutesy, almost to where you felt bad for it. And again, another one-line kind of thing when she goes, what are you going to do with it? Well, I'll probably take it back to the Paleos, and then the blind daughter just kills the thing, which I almost felt bad for it, but it was funny because the Doctor's like, ooh. And the other hand...
That too.
Yeah. So, I would have liked to have seen maybe the Master be the bad guy even in this one somehow,
Ooh.
So, just something other than the Leech. the two little snot-nosed brats, I want to smack. I can't believe that it was so poorly shoehorned in and written.
And they've disappeared. Like they haven't been there for the whole season.
They were in like one episode.
They were in the beginning.
You know what? And to be completely honest, I would love to see them get murdered by the Cybermen.
No.
Yeah, no, I would. Just zapped, stink, gone.
Doctor Who wouldn't kill children.
Well, they should in this case because they're just annoying. What are they going to do? They're going to run around. It's just, you know what? I have nothing against the actors and actresses that play them. I have nothing against children. I have one of my own. The way they put it in there was just so horribly done. It was just, I'm getting so tired of this. Okay, we had our adventure. Can you drop me off at home, Doc? Thanks. I'll call you when I'm ready to go on another one that they started with Rory and Amy. What happened to the good old days? If I remember correctly, Sarah Jane never got dropped off at home till the end. Tegan and Leela and name a companion up until the new series. They were all on the TARDIS the whole time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'd get off and be left behind like Tegan, and then they'd come back for a few episodes, and then, But it wasn't like, okay, we're done, I'm dropping you off at home. Mm-hmm. That's what you do when you're dating somebody in high school. It irritates me to this day that they do that, but whatever.
But even with Rose, I mean, he didn't necessarily drop her off, but they came home, and she'd go talk to her mother. I mean, that was kind of the start of the big family. You know
what? That's the problem. Is they're trying to smash EastEnders in with Doctor Who. It's like, leave the soap opera stuff out of it. Give me my science fiction. And this episode kind of did that until the end. This episode overall, I thought it turned out better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, from the beginning, I thought it was slow. I was like, oh. I'm like, really? I finally did watch the little Strax tie-in to show that he wasn't ever really dead. Mm-hmm. So that explains that, They do make him seem like he's a complete idiot, though. Mm-hmm. And I don't get that at all. But, I don't know. I mean, overall, I don't know. I 6 out of 10 maybe. Mm-hmm. It's not Cold War. It's not. To me, I enjoyed Journey better. To be honest, the ride of that one.
Didn't.
I know you didn't. This one, there was a lot of. You know what it was? This one had a lot of neat things and did a lot of things right, but something doesn't sit right with me with it. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll change my mind a little bit. It's not bad. It's not horrible. If you asked me would I put it on right now and watch it, I'd probably say no. Most of the other ones from this Series 7B, I probably would. Like, personally, unlike some other podcasters I've listened to, I like Series 7 and 7B so far. Most of it. Mm-hmm. Or 7B for sure. 7A, 7B I like most of. This one I liked. I wouldn't skip it if it was on TV, but I wouldn't go out of my way to put it on either. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's my view on it. I mean, I like I said earlier, I think Jenny should have been a companion. I think she would have made a great companion. But the problem is, we didn't know Jenny prior to Vastra, and I have a feeling Jenny was not the confident person we see now. I have a feeling she was maybe like a little mousy, kind of like a little timid, and being with Vastra changed that. So, to me, if there was a way to make her a companion now, I think it'd be great. I just don't think they could do it. I mean, she's where she needs to be, is the problem. But I think her character, to me, her character in this episode really shined. I think her character was great. I think it was written great. I think the actress did a great job. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, like I said, still to me, there was just parts of it that I was kind of, like I said, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's above average. No, well, yeah, it's above failing. It's about average to me. It's not great. The kid thing at the end was just horrible.
Yeah.
So, Joanna, your turn.
All right, it dragged me too slow at the beginning.
Agreed.
I think we all agree with that. It's like, it's kind of annoyed with it.
I liked it.
Nicole does not agree with that. You and I do. This is the second episode we've had now in a row where we've not all come to a consensus about an episode. Mm-hmm. Finally, we're starting to have a little conflict.
Which is kind of nice. The fainting guy, like, was it the investigator?
Oh, no,
he was too much every time.
He was looking for, his
brother.
He was looking for his brother, yeah.
That got really annoying.
You'd think after seeing a lizard lady, seeing Strax would not, and he saw Strax before, just not in his tux. Or no, he was wearing his tux, right? When he answered the door.
I don't know.
Strax is the butler. He opens the door.
You would think he would have opened the door from the first time, but I don't think we saw that, so maybe he didn't. Maybe Jenny did.
But I agree, that gag got a little old, too.
No, that got just way old. The first few times it was funny, but now and then it's like, oh, just stop it. Madame Vostra, I love.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Something about her, I mean, she's smart. And I agree with you about Jenny. Maybe she was more this, like, unsure of herself. She didn't have the confidence that she has now. Because confidence played a lot in what she did. Mm-hmm. And that's huge for people.
And I mean, they imply she does it a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The crazy lady was crazy. I didn't see the leech lizard what Bimba I didn't care for that one.
It seemed like just such a weird way to have that be the reason.
No, I mean, like, I don't think that was the reason. I think she just wanted world domination.
Yeah, I agree. But it just seemed like to have, like, Mr. Sweet just be the leech was like...
I don't think that was...
So weird.
I don't think he would have been, like, all for that. I felt for the gal, the daughter, who was rendered blind by the mother.
Yeah. When she was testing the venom or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. See, right there tells you that she was crazy. I mean...
But that, too, came when Mr. Sweet was on the scene.
But was he leached onto her already or not? See, we don't know. There's a lot that they don't say. I think she was just cray-cray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, the employees reminded me sort of like the rigid mannerisms of the monks from Tooth and Claw.
Oh, I can see that.
Just like the kind of like...
Just less talented.
Yes.
Actually, the way they walked up with like the bats or whatever, I just expected them.
The supermodels.
Yeah. I just expected them to break out into song like "When you're a jet, you're a jet." You know, it was like just so like it was so like campy, like old school musical style. Like they're gonna start dancing.
There's something missing. I don't know what it is, but something was missing in the episode.
I agree, and I can't put my finger on it.
I'm trying to remember. I'm like, no. I mean, I think I figured out what it was, and it was the ending. It was a crappy ending that they had with the kids. I'm like, oh,
I agree.
This wasn't a good tie-in, like a tie-in episode with the kids.
Just once.
Not tacked on it behind an episode.
You know what? I wouldn't have put the kids in the Cyberman episode, and just once, for old time's sake, I would have liked to have seen the TARDIS go somewhere he did not want it to go again.
Yeah.
Well, it did that with Cold War.
Well,
Viva Las Vegas, he walks out and he's on a submarine.
And technically he was aiming for 1893 London and ended up in 1893 Yorkshire, which they make a big point of.
Yeah, I understand that. No, I agree with... Joanna, I agree with all your points personally. I know Nicole doesn't agree with quite all of them, but...
I didn't like that ending, but to me that was
horrible.
Almost separate from the... Because the real story ended,
like a mini-sode or something.
And then... That was tacked on.
And who the hell is afraid of like a 12-year-old kid? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Show them to your parents. Let's see what they say. Go ahead. Go ahead. Show them to your dad.
That would have been a great tie-in episode.
I don't know.
And if even in this way, we would have had the choice to watch it or not.
Maybe if the kids were, you know what? Maybe if the kids were likable. Like, they didn't portray them, they didn't make them likable. They portrayed them as little sneaky, arrogant, like, pricks. Yeah, like little brats.
Yeah, they were kind of... And so smug about finding it out.
Like, ooh, look what we did.
You can find anything on the internet.
And who the hell has a picture? Was the picture from 1970 whatever in color or black and white?
Color.
Okay, good. So I was going to say they had color film back then. I didn't remember if they had it in
Yeah, it was in color. But
yeah, I did not.
Well, yeah, those photos, I
completely agree with all those points. It just... I think that did ruin it for me.
Something was lacking. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's not like it was bad. It just wasn't... You know what? It wasn't the Pyramids of Mars. And that's my tie-in to say, Joanna finally watched Pyramids of Mars. Well, actually, I mean, do we have anything else to really say about Crimson Horror? I mean, we all kind of like it. You like it a little bit more than us. I don't think there's really anything else to discuss or say about it. So what did you think of Pyramids of Mars?
It was good. It was like
right?
kind of. I liked it. I'm loving like all the episodes they've been showing so far of all like the doctors. Oh yes, I love Sarah Jane Smith. She actually is probably one of the best companions, one of the top companions for me.
I agree with that sometimes, because there's some episodes where her character's just god awful in. There's episodes where she like takes the lead and she's badass and just awesome, and then there's episodes where she like takes 2 steps and twists her ankle and it's like, ah! I'm like, come on, really? Last episode you were fighting Daleks. Like, that's a great episode with her, is Genesis of the Daleks. Mm-hmm. She's very good in that too, but she's very good in I mean, overall I'd say 80% of her episodes are great. You know, okay. she is very good.
I mean, like the fact that, like, she's one of the classic companions.
Yeah, she's good. She's good in the Robot actually too.
From like back in the like that like branch into the New Who.
She's been voted most popular companion. And Elizabeth Sladen was a great person. I mean, she was very likable. It was really sad that she died. Mm-hmm. I mean, but her character was like a wholesome character too, though. Like, she was like the girl next door kind of, like, you know, so she fit a lot of different personas that came together and she played the part just right.
I liked her. I mean, like
I said, she was on the show 6 years, I think.
I don't know if it was that. I think it was like
5. Well, she was with Pertwee for 1 or 2.
1.
She was with Pertwee for 1, and she was with Baker for 3 or 4. She was there a long time. I don't remember if maybe 4 or 5 years, something like that. But either way, the longest running companion, I think, too. But like I said, for that being said, I'd say a good 80% of her stories are pretty good that she's in. I mean,
I liked her. I mean, I have like I've had no problems with seeing any questions of why they went this way, like for something, or because they're so well done.
Oh, you're talking about the old episodes?
To develop,
yeah,
everything.
I see. That's what me and Nicole always say, is that they have that little bit of extra time. Mm-hmm. Basically, each episode would be a double episode of today's standards. And you have your development of this, you have your development of that. There's usually some twist in it that you supposedly wouldn't see coming. But Pyramids of Mars was, it's a good episode. I don't know if I would have picked that one for Tom Baker and her. I mean, I think they had other ones that were just as good. But it's a great episode. It's enjoyable to watch. It's the same. I think the guy has the same mask as in the Three Doctors. I think they just recycled it, the same prop. But I like that story. Yeah, go ahead.
What would have shown if you were BBC America, out of all the 4 Doctors we've seen so far, what would you pick for each episode that you know?
For Pertwee, I might have used Inferno.
But that's like
it's like 3 hours long though.
I think they wanted 4 partners.
But let's say I had Ultimate Decision and it didn't matter. I'd say probably Inferno for him. I think they got it right for Hartnell. Hartnell I might have did the Daleks, to be honest. I think that was a great story. Which one did they end up using?
Aztecs.
Which isn't too bad.
I like that one.
It's not a bad episode. I mean, there were better ones. Dalek Invade, the Dalek one where he leaves his granddaughter was good too. As for Troughton, Tomb of the Cybermen, I think was the right choice. That's what they aired, right? If I'm correct. Yeah. That is a very, very good story. I mean, excellent acting, and while I don't think the Cybermen aren't scary, but the voice back then was way creepier. For Pertwee, Inferno would have been the one I'd show, I think. Although, I mean, they showed the first one with him, right?
Spirit from Space,
which is also a good story. I mean,
I love that one.
I think you can't really go wrong with that one. Tom Baker, I always have a soft spot for his first one, Robot. Because there's a lot of little one-liners he gives. Like when they say impenetrable, he goes, I never liked that word. And they go, why not? He goes, it sounds too much like unsinkable. And Harry goes, what's wrong with unsinkable? And he goes, what did the iceberg say to the Titanic? Glub, glub, glub or something. And he sinks down in the Jeep. Because half the episode he's cruising around in the back of the Jeep. And he drives Bessie in it. That was a good Baker episode. I mean, the horror of what is it, Fang Rock? Was a really good episode too with him and Leela. I think the thing is they wanted to make sure to get Sarah Jane in.
Yeah.
I think because she's the most...
Yeah, which I agree with. I don't have a problem with them doing that. But
because Sarah Jane is like the one that stands out more in my mind.
I mean, there were some good episodes with him and Romana, 1 and 2. What's the one where they the guys going back in time and having Leonardo da Vinci make all the Mona Lisas?
Oh yeah.
In Paris. That's a great episode. They find out there's a time skip or something. It's him and Romana too. That's actually a really good episode. And for some reason, I can't place the name of it right now. Who's up next? Peter Davison?
Earthshock.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I show Earthshock. Yeah, Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison. That's who's up next. Okay. Earthshock's a good episode, but it's another Cyberman episode. I actually thought the Dalek episode with him was pretty good. I think when you get to Sylvester McCoy, it's got to be Remembrance. I think Remembrance of the Daleks. First off, if you're not, because I don't know if they're going to show the TV movie. Number 1, with McGann. Number 2, Remembrance ties back to the first episode.
Yeah.
It ties back to the Hartnell years and to that first episode, to the junkyard. And it's just Remembrance of the Daleks to me is such a good episode. And it makes a little bit of a statement about social injustice in the UK even. Davison, though, let's see. The Dalek one with him was good. Earthshock's good. Time Flight was interesting, but I wouldn't use that one. Castrovalva's good, which is actually the first one with him. A lot of the first ones were good.
But that one doesn't really showcase him as much.
No, it doesn't. It showcases
unconscious.
Yeah. A lot of the names I can't think of. What was the one? Terror from the Deep?
Yeah.
The only problem is the
Sea
monster.
Devils.
The only problem is the Sea Devil looks so bad in it. But that's a good episode. Oh, I just watched one where they were destroying... Wait, that might have been Tom Baker. They were destroying oil rigs. And it was... the Zygon episode. That's Tom Baker, right? Yeah. You know what? That's not a bad episode, but the Zygons, really horrible bad guys.
Okay, what's the name of it?
Terror of the Zygons.
Yep.
Terror of the Zygons. It's not a bad episode. But Peter Davison, Earthshock's a good one. I mean, like I said, Time Flight's not too bad. Time Flight's actually got a nice little twist in it, because you don't realize who the bad guy is. Like, you think it's somebody, and it's really not.
Yeah.
Colin Baker's episodes? Oh, God. That's tough. All those Trial of the Time... what's the one where he's got... What's the one with him?
I'm trying to write all this down.
What's the Colin Baker one where he meets Mel?
Oh, yeah.
That's not... Oddly enough, that's not bad, even though Mel's in it, and a lot of people don't like Mel. I never really thought I thought she was a little annoying, but I didn't think she was, like, horrible. And Colin Baker just got so... The Dalek episode with him was decent, with the assassin trying to kill Davros. That wasn't bad. What was that one called? Genesis? No.
No, I get them all.
Revelation?
I want to say Revelation.
Destiny? Something like that? Revelation of the Daleks?
It was with an R.
Revelation
because,
of the Daleks, I think it was.
Because there was Remembrance, Revelation.
No, you know what? You need for Peter Davison, you need the Dalek episode. You know why? Isn't it the one where they're on the space station that gets invaded? And Davros is a prisoner and he's in cryogenic suspension or something? And that's when the Dalek... It's called...
It's another R. That's why I get all... Because there's Remembrance, there's Revelation, and there's something else with an R.
Hang on, give us 1 second. Because that episode is actually really good because that starts the beginning of the Daleks splitting in two factions. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, was a bit... Because in Remembrance, that continues on, and that's how they...
I cannot think of... It's another R. I get them...
I mean, ultimately, Remembrance was the better of all three of them. Oh, you know what? If I was going to go with an episode that had Colin Baker, maybe the Two Doctors. directed by Peter Moffat. Is that related to Stephen Moffat?
No, I don't think so.
Time Lash wasn't bad. The Mark of the Rat. I mean, Vengeance on Varos wasn't bad. He had a Cyberman one too. It wasn't too bad. Resurrection of the Daleks. That's the one.
Yes.
It's actually Peter Davison's third to last episode. It goes Resurrection, Planet of Fire, and then Caves of Androsny. Androsny? Yeah. Which, that's not even a bad episode. Isn't that a Dalek episode? No. That's who's the bad guy in that?
So we have Resurrection of the Daleks, Remembrance of the Daleks, and Revelation.
Well, it goes Resurrection, Remembrance.
No, Revelations.
No. It goes Resurrection, Revelations, and then Remembrance. Because in Resurrection, they're dying off. There's a disease killing them. They're going mad, and they start foaming and stuff, and they die. And they need to break Davros out of prison to help save them. But he has his own agenda when he gets out. In that one, they have humans helping them out. And Davros is like, my Daleks cannot have been defeated. He's like, well, guess what? So, it goes Resurrection, then Revelation of the Daleks, which isn't too bad. But Remembrance of the Daleks with... actually, to be completely honest, that's the thing, is when you get to Sylvester McCoy, it's hard to pick one for that thing. I say Remembrance because it ties it to the first one. Happiness Patrol was actually not bad. Paradise Towers wasn't bad. Greatest Show in the Galaxy was okay. Silver Nemesis even wasn't too bad. But yeah, you definitely want to watch...
There's a lot to watch.
You would definitely want to watch Remembrance of the Daleks, though. But watch those 3 Dalek ones.
I'm going to try to watch it before we record next.
Ooh. Okay. On that note, we should probably call it quits for tonight, because we got a great episode for our fans. Hopefully they enjoy it. As usual, we want to thank you all for listening. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your family, pets, aliens, whatever. And thanks for listening, and we'll join you next, or we'll see you next time after... What is it called? Nightmare in Silver. So, thanks for listening.